Carrie Reyes made it back. Woo! So glad you're here. How awesome was it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who looked at her Facebook pictures with her wedding? You're a beautiful bride.
Thank you.
Jake's a handsome dude, lucky guy. So
We're pretty lucky.
glad that you decided not to scuba dive for the rest of your life. And
That was a hard decision.
yeah. How the heck is everyone?
Good.
Yeah, good. Good weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hear about it. Some wins. Yeah, Bob.
Yes. Someone under contract has a great open house.
It's under contract?
Not that one. Another.
You got any bites?
I had possibly one maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to throw some Bob's way though.
He what? I'm sorry.
He pressed the heck out of the park.
Heck yeah.
His name's the big play.
I wanted to tag on to Glenn with Linda co-listing with Bob. We had live music. We had the greatest food from Three Sons. It was a first-class open house, guys.
Nice.
It was a first-class open house.
That's great. You get any neighbors in there? Thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We had at least 60 adults.
Golly. With 800 credit scores and 6-figure incomes, right?
No, they know some with an 800 credit.
Awesome. Good for you.
I'd have been there just for the food.
Yeah.
A lot of people were.
Kathy, I saw you. You said
Yeah, definitely got a couple of really good leads out of an open house that I did this weekend.
Good.
Got one under contract that's actually supposed to close, and an investor that is looking to buy a bunch of different places. So so it's
Awesome.
some good things this weekend. It was a good weekend.
Yeah. Good. Love it. Love it. Right on. Anybody else? Peggy,
I had a garage sale.
how'd your garage sale go?
I'm speechless. I'm very tired.
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah.
For real.
I held the garage sale in my neighborhood and
Okay.
had a garage sale myself.
Good.
Oh, wow.
Yikes, that is a lot of work.
And
But
worked the
I-
open house.
Yeah, then came to the open house. Yes, Debbie DeWitt, I met Debbie DeWitt's father, who is just a delight. Yes, I have several relatives of KW cronies in my neighborhood.
Yeah. All of a sudden, everybody's got a real
Oh,
estate
my
license. You know.
God, okay. But that's good,
Yeah.
because I love my neighbors and I love the neighborhood,
Yeah.
and it's really nice talking to them, because they're also very nice.
Awesome.
And the garage sale did go very well. Yes, there are some people. There was one especially that held over the top garage sale with lots and lots of things
Great.
coming out of a house that may be listed in the future.
Come on in, guys. There's room up front, too. There's room up front.
So I need to push pause on our real estate related stuff. My wife brought some friends of ours. Part of the reason why I can even stand here today is because of Dan and Becky Barton, who are visiting from Virginia. They actually housed my wife when we were poor, broke college students. And she would sneak me food because Mr. Dan is part of ownership of one of the largest seafood distributions on the East Coast. So, needless to say, king crab legs, and Alaskan salmon, this was my sustenance in school. So, can you just give them a K-Way welcome? Right on. Cool.
I'm going to give you guys a Denver tip. Don't eat seafood here. Unless it's really expensive. Then it might be good.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's dive in, guys. I feel like there's been a lot happening in the market, lots of stuff going on. I know Marty and I have been looking at some different stuff. We've got some DMAR numbers we want to throw at you. Please take notes. This is good for you guys to be in your listing presentations. This is good for just all-around basic knowledge of what the market's doing. So, yeah, just lots of stuff. And then I'm going to kind of put a little bit of a bow on it at the end just to do guys, we're halfway through the year. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? We always say that. It's like, oh, Christmas is here. I said that like last week, you know? So I want to kind of talk about some different stuff with our goals that we've been doing, for you personally, hopefully to try to, keep us on track. So Marteo,
All
have
right.
at her, buddy.
Well, welcome to June, everybody.
Yeah.
June is always sort of a smack in the backside of the head for me. Like, wake up. How you doing on your numbers? You had big goals. Do you need to adjust those expectations? Do you need to adjust your activities? What do you need to do to actually stay on track for what you wanted to accomplish this year in your own business and personal life? I hope that you guys also include some personal life giving and life developing sorts of goals and plans. I know it's very easy as a small business owner to kind of run yourself into the ground as you try to build a big business. And I want to encourage you that that's not a great way to work. That a guy who chops down trees should have a sharp axe. So don't forget to take some time for you, whether it's each morning or one day out of the week during the weekend or on a weekday because you work weekends. Whatever it is, let's be careful because about halfway through the year, maybe you're starting to feel the grind that you've been doing all year long. So don't forget to rest, okay? All right, guys, so let's start off with some market stats that everybody can access, even the public, but they don't typically. So a couple of things that I want to encourage you from what we learned today is, number one, what are you going to learn this morning that you're going to take away? And number two, what are you going to go tell your database? Because these people have jobs, they have lives, they have kids, they have worries or whatever going on. Even though this is a totally public website, a lot of people just won't do it, right? That's where you get to be the curator of this good information and deliver it to them and even interpret it a little bit for them. And so I want to look into a couple of things just right off the bat. Something that you need to see or understand for today. This is the first month in Denver history that the average sales price is over $400,000. Ever. Okay? Over $400,000 average. Now, remember, that doesn't mean necessarily that everybody's houses are worth $400,000, okay? It doesn't mean necessarily that that's the median, because it's not the median, it's the average. So I would continue to contend that simply the bottom half of the market, kind of the meat and potatoes, first-time buyers, first-time sellers, has gone up about $100,000 in the last 2-3 years, right? And so it's inching closer to $400,000. And maybe some of you guys who sell higher-end properties can correct me on this, but I just believe that more people that have those 5, 6, 7s are finally selling them or can finally sell them after the recession. And so I think that's why our average is continuing to bump up, is our little kids have grown up and our big kids are finally able to sell. And so that's why we're finally hitting that $400,000 mark. So what's interesting too here that I wanted to point out is, let's see here. Average of 407. Detached single family has actually climbed up to 448. So if you don't include attached single family homes, if you're just talking detached, you're talking almost 450 as the average. Yeah.
And that has gone up $13,000 in the last 30 days.
Holy smoke. Do we have some millionaires sale in Colorado or what? So that's 3% higher than last month, 8% higher than a year ago, okay, that detached single-family price. Condos and townhomes saw a price increase as well, reaching up to almost $300,000. So even if you want a townhome or condo in this area, the average sale price is up to $300,000. So it's no longer, hey, if you can, fog a mirror, you can buy a condo or townhome. You have to have some decent cash, which is 4% higher than last month and 14% year-over-year increase. So if you own any condos or townhomes and you might want to get out of the tenants and toilets business, you might want to sell. That might be something to talk to your investors in your portfolio and ask them, hey, have you ever thought about cashing out on this one and buying something better? Because now's a great time to do that. Let's see here. The CEO of RE Colorado basically said, after dipping slightly last fall, home prices continue to grow at a moderate pace in the spring selling season. He says that bodes well, Kirby says that bodes well for home sellers as well as home buyers who continue to move quickly in an effort to purchase moderately priced homes. I love how he says that when everybody in the Denver area is kind of crying over the prices. Moderately priced homes before the interest rates go up as they remain low. Guys, does anybody have better information than me about interest rates and how soon they may or may not go up?
June, Fed's expecting to do a rate increase. I mean, it's what all
Like
the,
So
now.
that's upon us.
yeah, like the June meeting, so expect, I don't know how much, but I've heard that it's, you can only have negative negative interest rates for so long, you
Yeah.
know, so.
Yeah, and I think what we ought to be watching also, guys, is the inflation across the country. I don't think inflation is going up quickly enough that the Feds feel comfortable doing a real big rate hike. So personally, if you ask me, is it still a good time to buy in Denver? Absolutely. Would I wait till next summer? Absolutely not. Now, are we predicting that it's going to be up at the 6s and 7s by next summer? No, I'm not. I don't think the Fed is going to be that aggressive, especially not in an election year. I think election years make everything kind of just screech to a halt because nobody wants to be in the news, including the Fed. So that's just me having seen it over a few years. Okay, so get your buyers out there because next summer might not be the greatest time to buy based on interest rates. The other thing I've been telling people and reminding people, guys, is Colorado is a little different than the nation. Don't always believe the national stats and the national stories. Colorado, Denver especially, has an extremely diversified economy. Okay, we don't have everything in auto. We don't have everything in oil. Our economy doesn't fluctuate drastically by one section of the marketplace or another. We have a very diversified economy, and our population continues to grow. As you guys remember, 100,000 people moved into the Denver metro from outside counties and states just last year. 100, that's a third of all of Aurora, and Aurora is the second largest city in all of Colorado. Okay, so you're talking massive population growth, and the young people that are here finally getting to the place where they're buying homes. So we just have, all I'm talking about is supply and demand. We still have a supply and demand issue, and so we continue to beg builders to build more properties. And I guess what I'm getting into is simply that I personally don't see these prices and the demand going away. We're still seeing such strength. I don't know about you heavy listers in the room, but I'm still not seeing a drop in the number of showings. Small drop in the number of offers, but I think it's simply because buyers are getting scared of gigantic bidding wars and they can't pay 20 grand over appraisal anymore. When it was 5 or 10, okay, but 15 or 20, that's a big risk for a lot of these people. So anyway, those are some of the feedback things that I wanted to give you. These are always interesting. Let me see if I can, that kind of makes it too big. See if I can, somewhere in there. Okay, how about you guys in the back? Is that good? So really want to just focus on this main section box here. So on the left you have month to month, and on the right you have year over year. Our actives are down year over year. Our new listings are down, but just a tiny, I would call that a push, year over year. Under contract is literally a push. It's the same as last year. Solds, and again, this is the month of May, so solds are actually down 12%. And that's not 2 or 3%, guys. That's a lot fewer homes that sold this May than last May. 14% up in days on market, which I think is interesting because the inventory is down, the sold inventory is down. But month over month, we're getting quicker, and that's actually continuing a trend. January it was up, and the rest of the months it's been down. So people are wanting to buy, the 24 days or whatever, that's the average, 24, 25-ish, is crazy fast, right? Because that includes the time that you're going through underwriting and getting a loan and closing that deal. That's not talking about days on market before it goes under contract, right? That's talking, active to closed. So that tells me that a lot of people are buying things cash, that it's not even over 30 days. Average sold price is up 9%. We just talked about that. This is the combined. Why is that? This is the combined, and then the single family. We just talked about it, almost 450. And then the median. I like to watch the median, you guys. It's up 11%. It's up, to 360. I like the median because it also kind of averages out the averages. It tells me how many homes above this number and below this number is equal. So basically, as many people bought homes over 360 as bought homes under 360. Okay? And I personally like to watch that one a little bit more than average. So what I did, I got really curious. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to highlight on this page. And this is funny because this is this month's article, or stats, but then last month's stuff against it. So I wanted to skip down. Okay, so this is interesting to me as well. Let me see if I can do that again. Average sold price year over year, and we're still in May here, guys. So the bars show the sold price, okay? Across the bottom is the county, and the numbers actually show the percent of change inside that county. So I love this graph because it gives you lots of really good information. So you've got Douglas County, Denver County, Jefferson County. So Jeffco, you guys are at about 11% increase year over year on average sold price, and you're roughly at close to 400 grand, 390, 380, somewhere up in there, 390, 395-ish. Okay, I'm over in Arapahoe County, and we're close. We've gone up actually more than you guys have year over year, but our average sale price is a little under yours. The anomaly here, guys, is this one. Actually a negative market. Isn't that interesting? Why do you suppose that homes are selling 12% less in Park County than they were this time last year? Anybody have a good beat on Park County at all?
Where's Park County for us
Down.
ignorant?
Down there by Bailey and going that way.
Well, I've been to Bailey once.
Yeah.
That explains it.
I pulled it up this morning because I literally had the same question. If I can do it. So that's Park County. Any ideas why?
They had a really bad wildfire season last year,
Did they?
last couple of years.
Awesome. Thank you for the information.
It's mountain.
I think people are investing, like, I know, I have friends that have invested in Park County years ago, in like a little piece of land, little cabins, but now the focus is on investing in the Denver metro area because there's way more appreciation, and the prices are escalating so quickly that thinking again to a home now for their families rather than buying a little cabin in the woods for weekends occasionally. So, that's my.
I also think that Summit County before was kind of the place that people like to go, but then they had the pine needle, or the pine needle beetles.
Pine beetle.
Yeah, the pine
Beetle
beetle.
kill.
Pine beetle.
Yeah.
Yes. And so people weren't buying there. Well, that's now kind of over. And when they weren't
Maybe a
buying
flock
in
move.
Summit County, they were going to Park County because they didn't have that. Now that Summit County is better, can you attest to that?
Graham County's the
In
same.
Grant County, yeah, because where she's got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so those places that were really, they're more populated, have more, like the ski resorts and things are there. And so I think now people are going back there. I'd be really interested to see what's happening in Summit County, if it's really increased a bunch. But that would be my guess, is that, people are going back to Summit and now they don't have to go to Grant County House.
Yeah. My theory, and I don't have any data to back this up, the thing I'd have to look up is to find out, did they or did they not have a lot of transactions? But my theory is that people are actually buying and selling in this area, but it's land, and it's undeveloped land, and so it's lower price than maybe what they did last year, where they were actually buying property with houses on it. So price point doesn't always tell you that it's a bad market. It just might have shifted of focus. I also think that I personally have a friend who sold a house in this area recently because they could finally sell it. So it was like a $160,000 house, which was great for them. That price had gone up. But instead of like these beautiful, gorgeous homes that might have sold in the past, now maybe some of these littler homes are getting out of that area and moving to Denver. I'm not sure, and I don't want to super focus on something that's not our area, but I always find them fascinating when there is a total anomaly on the board. So guys, I need to let the true man here do this thing. But I wanted to show you one last thing. So what I did is simply, if I can make it big here, is simply did like a, can I increase that? Yeah. I simply took the market snapshots from the past year and stacked them so we can kind of compare. I don't know why RE Colorado didn't do February, but it skipped February. So if you watch for reds and greens and how they change over time, this is something that you can do on your own as well and see, okay, what's changing from January all the way to June, or May at least, and what's going up and what's going down. A couple of things to note. Look at all of the red arrows here and all of the green arrows here. It basically means that a lot more people were putting their houses on the market year over year. Remember, these are year over year numbers in January than they were in March, because they skipped February. But what's interesting is these are small gains, and these are massive, much larger losses in inventory. The other thing to note is what continues to happen, right? We've got low inventory, low under contract, low sold. Again, even lower inventory and sold, okay? So now we're up here into April and May. So we're just, again, kind of comparing to what we just saw to last month, and it's very, very similar story. So just some good information for you guys to take note of and to pass out to your to your databases to continue to communicate that you're the expert of choice, that you know what's going on in the marketplace, and also to communicate to your buyers, guys, inventory is low. We are not making this up. You do have to write aggressive offers, or we're going to just write offers till kingdom come, okay? That's all I've got today. I hope I didn't take too much of your time. You good?
Yeah, great. Can you help me do the
Absolutely.
switch over?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to do it. Guys, what's the other really interesting thing to note is, sorry, go ahead. First of all, two things. One, congratulations, Denver. You're the #1 place to live in this entire country.
That's right.
Give yourselves a hand. Give yourselves a hand. It's pretty, it's a pretty big deal. That was a U.S. World News report, I believe, they read, that I read. It was pretty interesting. So we talked a little bit about what's going on right now, but I read some other data. 30 years ago, do you guys know what the average listing count was?
Oh, man.
15,000.
15,000 was pretty good. 16,980. That was 30 years ago. 30 years in the span of an economic cycle is not very long. That's 75% lower. If you look, can you go to the other one, the first one? Yeah. So right now we're active right about 48.
That's crazy.
That's crazy town.
Especially when you look at how much Denver has grown.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like nobody stopped building.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'd like to see what percentage we've grown in that.
Exactly. So that's, it's crazy. So in 2006, though, you know what Denver averaged? Pretty close. Anybody have guesses? 30,457. Right at that peak point. So we doubled in 15, so we actually had more to choose from, but we're still not down 75%. But what's 4,000 of 30?
75, 4,000.
It's closer to 90.
90, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So, anyways, that kind of blew me away. So, prices less than $2.99 right now. Average days on market. An hour. Yeah, close. About 2 weeks.
What market?
Yeah, exactly. About 2 weeks. And I don't know where they got that idea from, but you can go to the next one for me, Carrie, if you don't mind. So we're talking about 30 days for everything else, okay? So those were pretty interesting to me. We know what I'm talking about. Does everybody know what the difference between the average and a median is? Oh, okay. Median's that middle number, average is everybody. I got a D in statistics, but I still passed. But I just wanted to make sure, even if you didn't raise your hand, hopefully that helped you. So, okay. What was interesting too is the condos as well. Man, what a jump! What a jump! So if you are not brushed up on just covenant law and the things that go into selling a condo, understanding that, man, apparently there's a market here. So, it's, what's funny though, is it's like, it's these kinds of deals that pay the bills consistent over time, right? Okay? A lot of us go up there and try to hit home runs, but man, anybody watch Moneyball? Bunch of singles gets the job done apparently. So don't be afraid of those, okay? So, all right, that's all I got for numbers. The next slide, anybody been watching what's going on with our friends at the Zillow group?
They moved into Denver.
They moved into Denver. Sure, try not to. Yeah, put our head in the sand, close our ears. Do you know? Can someone explain to me what? Glenn laughed. He giggled. Can you kind of maybe enlighten the group? What I'm talking about the slapped whistles.
I think the insiders are cashing out.
Okay.
I think they're about to get their head handed to them.
Why? Anybody know why?
Because the judge just said it's $1 billion.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Zillow just got handed one of the largest lawsuits probably in corporate history. Stupid money that they're because of infringements on all kinds of different things. So how many of people, and also too, we have the NAR convention. Anybody been to the NAR convention before? I actually never have. They're typically San Diego is where they're held.
Well, then I'm going.
No, it's like, why can't Family Reunion get to
Right?
places where we want to
Yeah.
be? Okay, so I just want to compare just to kind of give you an idea of what's shifting, right? Do you know who got named as CEO of Upstream? But do you know what Project Upstream is?
Nope.
Okay, so Project Upstream is basically right now, every time you put a listing into the MLS, there's 90,000 MLSs. I don't know if there's that many, but there's a lot across the entire United States, and then they go to all these portals, and then everybody grabs that information to set out there and syndicate, right, through your IDX feed, your Internet Data Exchange. So basically it's going to space, back to Canada, down to Zimbabwe, through Nigeria, and then finally it shows up on Zillow and Trulia. That's why that information is never accurate, because they're pulling from all these different sources. So what Project Upstream is the brainchild of NAR, Keller Williams, Realogy, some of the bigger companies. And what they're doing is they're syndicating all the information through one portal and then out. Okay? It's basically what happened when the travel industry became, deregulated. Okay? It's no different. You have a wholesaler of product goes out to all these different, Travelocity, Priceline, all that stuff, okay? So we just named the CEO from Upstream, so that means it's getting started. This is I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars project, but this will change the way the information is syndicated. So NAR, this year, Keller Williams Family Reunion, anybody know how many people show up on average?
12, 14,000.
Yeah, it's about 12 to 15. That's one group. How many people show up to the NAR convention?
20.
20? It's about 8.
I mean, 20 people.
20 people. Yeah. so you got about 8,000 people, almost half the crew who represents the entire industry showing up to get information. Well, NAR just recently, I'm going somewhere with this, just follow me. They just last week said, Zillow, you can't come.
Good.
Ooh. So, what's funny is, can I just say how often I see real estate agents shoot themselves in the own foot? Yeah? Because we all see it, right? But not you guys. You guys are professionals. So, how many agents subscribe to Zillow? And not just when I say subscribe, open up their wallets and give them money.
A lot.
Well, a lot is like, there's a lot of bread in that loaf. I mean, that's a lot. How many agents? 50,000?
Nationwide?
Yeah. 50? 92,000 agents. This is the earnings, this chart. What does that say? That's the monthly revenue. $83 million. The focus for Zillow Group is on what? They're agents and they wear capes, tights, Super agents, thank you. A super agent is going to hand Zillow every month about $1,000 for leads. That's why they can have a revenue stream of $83 million. So you got Zillow Group. Okay, Trulia is down here, about just at 40. Okay, the pink is Realtor.com, 33. And down here, closer to the bottom, is Redfin and Homes.com, and about the 10 range. So they get slapped with a lawsuit. Hey, you can't come anymore. This is the line I want to read. In light of ongoing litigation, we elected not to permit Zillow to exhibit at or sponsor NAR's meeting this year. Here's why. Obviously there's litigation, but this is what they said. I actually have a theory that our #1 competitor is beginning to look more like a trade association than a business. Oh, NAR, thank you for catching on. So, not that I'm against leads, and hear my heart, guys. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's kind of an awakening that's happening in the real estate community, which actually gives me hope that, oh, we're starting to treat this more like a business than a hobby, right? Instead of just opening up our money and throwing it towards useless things. So, the difference is that they're asking people for a whole lot more money than we are. And that's what Dale Stinton, who's the NAR CEO, said about Zillow Group. So, just an interesting little tidbit to follow because it affects you guys, right? If somebody's willing to throw $1,000 a month to compete with you and not do the work, does it hurt? Does it take deals away?
Yes.
Yeah, it does. So it'll be interesting to see. Just as the next 6 to 9, 12 months go down the road, what happens to this revenue stream? Hopefully we'll have some numbers to report. So even from a year ago, guys, March of 15 was $65.5 million. And then we jumped up March to 16, almost $20 million. Yeah.
I'm not a Zillow guy at all, but make sure I understand this. Maybe
Yeah.
it's good. I'll speak to the room, okay?
Sure, yeah.
So we create the business.
Yep.
Zillow takes it.
Yep.
And then sells it back to
Yep.
us,
Yep.
to the agents. Why is anyone even supporting them? I don't even get why they'd want to do it.
Great question.
That's crazy.
Great question. Does anybody want to maybe...
That's the consumers there.
I'm sorry?
Because the consumers there.
That's it.
They've got the best, they've
But
got
it's
the
inaccurate
easiest search.
information.
Yeah.
They've got the
They don't care.
easiest
You know,
portal.
15 years ago when they came on the scene, they just created the most user-friendly way for
Yes,
people
there you
to
go.
find
Yes.
product.
Well, and consumers only
marketing.
want a one-stop
Great,
shop.
great
They don't
marketing.
go to everyone's
Let me,
individual site.
let me say on
Yeah.
that, since I used Zillow for a long time, that is kind of how I started my
Sure.
business.
Yeah.
And, in the 2009, 10, 11 timeframe, even 12 timeframe, you could get a lot of leads out of that.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
However, what they're doing now is they have so many people on a round robin, and that is how they get to that number. So
Yeah.
before it was maybe 3 or 4 people in a zip code. So when somebody clicks on a listing,
Yes.
there are 3 or 4 names. Now it's a 15 to 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for people to even get one lead out of that is
Yeah.
it's hard to even get one
Yeah.
lead.
Guys, you got to remember, like 15 years ago, we didn't have cell phones. How much has our industry changed, right? But what doesn't change is the fact that it's still real estate's a contact sport. It's face to face, and 100. They sold to the public, not to the public, but to the consumer, real estate agents, 123 million leads. 123 million leads were given out. How many deals were done in the United States last year? 5 million. So, if my math is right, that means 118 million. What was that? Okay. So, it's revenue. It's money. I mean, it's beautiful. It's capitalism. Okay. But what happens?
And then half of those that actually did get followed up on.
Great. Awesome.
They ended up literally just using their friend anyway.
Yeah.
They didn't get a lead at all from Zillow.
Yeah.
Right? They just used the friend that they were.
I thought there was an interesting thing in that same article that said, so Zillow's gonna hold their own event right outside this one.
Oh, really?
I think it'll be really
Interesting.
They're gonna do their own
seeing what
march.
kind of
That's right.
attendance they have,
Yeah.
And because they're not under this umbrella
Yeah.
or in this tent, full frontal, you know.
Yeah. And that's why, guys, that's why KW fought so hard to be like, my listings, my leads, right? That's why if you're not have your profile online, you know, you can capture that information, and that you should, all that stuff goes through your portal, okay? Anytime you put a listing up, but you still have to go in there and physically do it. So Marty pulled this. This is awesome. This is what Project Upstream is going to look like, okay? Do you want to?
That's what we currently have.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's what we currently have. So like I said, it goes down, you got a primary MLS, which then feeds to List Hub, which then goes through marketing service providers, creates additional portals, I mean, it just pings in 400 different directions. This is what this looks like going out every time you have sat at someone's kitchen table and signed the deal. Okay? What Project Upstream is going to look like is basically it's going to be the funnel to all these different things. Hey, you guys can still be in business, but you know what? We will control the information, not you.
Isn't that what we get right now with KWLS?
Kind of. Yes-ish. You know, maybe Carrie's got some insight into that a little bit more than I do, but
Well,
as far as
KWLS and MLS are still completely separate and don't feed each other at
Yeah.
all. So KWLS helps control the information a little bit better to like Zillow and Trulia and
Yeah.
stuff. But the MLS can still override or vice versa, which is why we're getting so many, you know, confusion and
conflictings,
stuff,
yeah. That's why the information's so bad on Zillow.
Does that mean that that Zillow will actually know when something's under contract? Will that information?
That's one of the goals, yeah. That's one of the goals. In fact,
That's my favorite thing about it.
Well, but I got something else that could work for you.
Exactly.
No, I know.
And I honestly think that one of the biggest motivating factors in pulling all of this off is actually the My Listings, My Leads idea is finally catching on with other realtors that are also feeling ripped off. That every time they put a listing on, 5 other realtors are you know, highlighted next to them on Zillow. And I think that idea here is, look, we're putting handcuffs on this thing.
Yeah.
Adame's listings are Adame's leads, and that's what's going to hopefully end up out here. And I'll tell you what's really exciting for .loop. Keller Williams having .loop and everybody but Colorado using it is trying to literally know, down to the granular level, how many offers are even being written, how many offers are going pending, how many are closing at what rate, and what, I mean, they can get into really amazing nationwide accurate information so that we might be able to develop out of Upstream and all of the other KW initiatives that they're building right now, an actual CMA product that does truly pull great information. So they're doing some really, really cool things on the front end, kind of behind the scenes on the technology side at KWRI.
Lee, will your branding hold now through
Always.
Upstream? Okay.
Always, yeah.
All right.
That doesn't change.
Well-
You're still the McDonald group, you know, through and through.
But I understand, isn't it through Zillow, if it's not done, that they will take it off? They will
Yes,
take
they
off
will.
your brand, huh?
On the photos.
Rating on the photos?
Yes.
But you don't do that on the MLS ones either, so that would affect,
Peggy?
I'm thinking business,
Uh-huh.
okay, and so that's great. I have the option to go with Zillow or not.
Right.
Well, I'm not going with Zillow. And now I'm looking at RE, which I'm bound to and love it. But now they have the Upstream, and I'm going, well, somebody's gonna pay for Upstream. So right now I have the choice to pay for Zillow or not pay for Zillow, but Upstream is going to be costly.
Yeah,
And
I don't
somebody's gonna pay for
know.
the cost.
Yeah, I'm
And
really,
thinking,
I have no idea how it's
Okay.
all going to work out. Like,
And
they
it may be
just have
great,
got the
but-
organizational chart. It could be 3 years from now. I have no idea how it's going to play out. You know, but it's one of those things where everybody understands that there is a huge problem. You know, so, but if the $30 a month for Upstream, that's well worth it for you to control. How many more leads would that generate for you and for your business as you're out there putting signs in people's yards? So.
What is the difference between Zillow and Zillow Group?
Zillow Group is a conglomeration of, they just purchased a bunch of,
When you take a Trulia,
Uh-huh.
Zillow now owns.
yeah.
So is that
I think
counting
what
them?
this,
So
what
it's
this,
really the combination
I think it's the combination of the two. There's several, and there's a couple of small ones in there. I'm not 100% sure. But, so, good? Okay, we got 19 minutes. I want to move on. Okay, we're halfway through the year, guys. How are we feeling about our goals? You good? Yeah, pretty good? Yeah? Who sucks at setting goals in the room? Yay! Honest people! Love it! Thank you! Okay, cool. I want to talk about that today, because we've seen...
I know what they are, but do I, you know?
Sure, yeah, no, it's great. This actually created so much space and so much freedom inside of me to be like, you know what? It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay, Kristen. You're awesome, all right? So, today I want to talk a little bit about the whole concept of goal setting, partly because I see this. I see goal setting actually create more paralysis than I do action a lot of times. Is that fair?
Paralysis
Yeah?
analysis.
That's right, exactly. So, throw out some achievements you want by the end of the year. It can be personal, it can be business, I don't care.
65 million in closed.
65 million in closed volume, awesome.
10 million.
10 million in closed volume, love it.
40 transactions.
40 transactions. What about personal stuff?
Broncos win the Super Bowl.
What'd you say?
Regional championship.
For tennis?
Yes.
Awesome, cool, love it. Somebody else? Really?
Another 14er with my son.
Another 14er with
100
your
fish
son.
fly fishing day.
Love it. Cool. So apparently we still, it doesn't matter whether we hit them or not, we still dream big, right?
Sure.
That's human nature. So my question is, what's the most appropriate way to get there? What's the most appropriate way to climb a 14er? What's the most appropriate way to get 10 million? Start? Yes.
Start.
Starting's great. Yes. That's good. Okay?
Plan it.
Huh?
Plan.
A plan? Love it. Cool. So we all have goals for our income, our business, our health. Anybody have some health goals?
Yes.
Yeah? I would hope so, because you get one earth suit and, you know, I mean, that's it. Like, you have to use this well and use it wisely, okay? Goals for our education, right? So we all have these things. My question is there a better way? Right? Is there a better way? No? Okay, so
That's real positive.
I love the honesty. That's what I'm going for.
Well, if you don't have a goal, you don't have a vision.
Sure?
So
You're
if
right.
you don't have a vision, you're not going to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
So there is no other way.
There is no other way. You're right. Okay. We have goals, but you know what I've discovered? It's been really freeing for me is the concept of the system around it. Right? So if let me do this. Let's just say I live in this quadrant over here, okay? All right, so if I'm a coach, okay, what would be a great lofty goal for a coach? Winning a championship. Love it, okay? Oops. Okay, what's my system? Training. Practice,
regimen.
right? Okay. Awesome. Love it. So if I'm a runner, what would be a lofty goal for a runner?
Better your best time.
Okay, faster mile, a marathon, right? Okay. What's my system? Training, practice.
Nutrition.
Man, you guys are nutrition, right? Awesome. Okay. If I'm entrepreneur, okay, what's a lofty goal for an entrepreneur? Sell a company, $1 million business, right? Go public, have Google buy you out, okay? What's my system? Yes. More business specific. Marketing, okay?
Staff training.
Advertising, right? Okay? If I'm a writer, what's a lofty goal for a writer? Publish a book, right? book deal? What's my system?
Market your book.
You got it right, okay? Guys, this is not rocket science, okay? I'm just making sure you're following me, okay? So here's all right. So we've got goal, system, this is what I do. Here's my question. If I never focus on my goal, will I still get there? Will I still get
Well,
there?
what are you training for? If you don't have a target, what are you hitting?
Listen to my question. If I never focus on just the goal,
The systems will get you there.
will I get there?
Possibly.
System will take you there.
So who says yes? Who says no?
Ask the question
Ish.
again, we're confused here.
If you let me ask it this way. If I completely ignored the goal and just focused on the system, would I still get there?
Yes.
You can? Okay. So this is where this starts to create some capacity for you, okay? My wife. Can I pick on you a minute?
You're going to anyway.
How many, my wife, if you didn't know this, she loves to write. What's the word count in an average book? Huh? 350,000? An average book, it's about 50 to 60,000 words, okay?
You did War and Peace.
I'm willing to bet, now listen, okay? I'm willing to bet my wife writes 112 to 115,000 words a year. Now, Becca, did you set up on January 1st when you did your resolutions to say, I'm going to write 2 books this year? No. But you created the equivalent in word count, right? So, what do you do every morning?
Journal, right?
Just a couple pages, right? Ish.
Sometimes a paragraph.
Sometimes a paragraph, okay? So here's the deal, is that even though she never set out to write the book, she creates the equivalent in the content for an average word count twice over. Her goal was never to write a book, but apparently, where am I at? Write a book, but apparently she does it. Okay, do you see that? Okay, making a little bit of sense? So, here's what I've discovered is that most people, when they focus 100% right here, right? You know what I've discovered? They're some of the least happiest people on the planet.
Yes.
Goals and the 100% focus on a goal reduce your current happiness.
Because you always fall short.
Because they're focused on the outcome.
Who's ever said,
Yeah, not good.
it's okay, can we like, you know, be honest and like vocalize our thoughts here a little bit? I'm not good enough yet, but when I reach my goal, I will be.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ugly.
And I'm not seeing progress, therefore it's not happening.
Or, you know what else I discovered? You put this off until you reach it.
Until never comes.
Ugh. Who wants to live like that?
No.
Now, okay, did I say goals were bad?
No.
Okay. Just trying to shift the focus a little bit, because the reality of it is that 67% of the population suck at setting goals. But we love to say that we're good at it, right? So let's just not keep kidding ourselves, and let's try to create some capacity, some different focus. So what I want you to understand is that committing to a process and not necessarily a goal is just as powerful. How does that hit you?
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How does that hit you in your business of 10 mil, 65 mil? One deal. One deal. That's it. Okay? So we hear these big numbers, and some of us in the room that are like, I don't even have a deal. Like, oh, then I must suck because I don't have $1 million business yet. Ugh. Man, that's icky. Okay? So, reduce the stress level in your life. Focus on the daily process and just stick to the schedule. Own your time. Okay? All right. When you focus on the practice instead of the performance, you can actually enjoy the present moment.
Yeah, you're in the moment. told.
You want to say that again? That was Lee Archer. That wasn't
Whatever. Well, Eckhart totally learned from you.
When you focus on the practice instead of the performance, you can enjoy the present moment and actually improve at the same time. Okay? So, let me kind of give you another thing I've discovered about goals. Goals hold on, how did I say this? That's right. Goals are at odds with the long-term process. What do I mean by that? 3 years ago, I did an Ironman. That was a long day. I turned 30, and I was like, you know what? Never done a triathlon. I think I'm going to try to do an Ironman. My wife will tell you I do stuff like that a lot. Unfortunately, halfway through, I'm like, that probably wasn't the best idea. So that was a pretty lofty goal, right? Okay, so 1.2 miles. I did the half. Let me explain. I did the half. 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike ride, and then a half marathon to top it off. Okay, it's a long day. Do you know what? Yeah.
She did her own.
She did great. And I got 2 flat tires. Freaking torqued me off. But that's a different story. Do you know what? I haven't ridden my $2,000 bicycle in almost 2 years.
Yeah. You burned it, man.
You know what? And here's why. It's because what I've discovered about the long-term process, and if I strictly focus on my goals, it creates this yo-yo effect. Right? I'm in and I'm hot, and then you're cold, and you're in, you're out, you're up, and you're down. Right? That's exactly what it does. Right? Katy Perry had it right. So the yo-yo effect is that you go back and forth from working on a goal to then not working on one. Right? It's like, what's the next mountain to climb? Now, I'm not saying don't have mountains to climb. But wouldn't you rather have a consistent growth pattern rather than this? We all talk about real estate income. Looks exactly like that, right? The yo-yo effect actually throws you off because once you hit there, you're like, oh, well,
Yeah, life's over.
okay.
Well, isn't that why, like, the ultimate goal, or what we call the big why, is something that's never actually achievable, so you don't experience that? So all these, like, smaller goals really should just be propelling you towards this unachievable but bigger purpose, I guess.
Didn't we spend like 7 weeks talking about this? Oh, I probably need to get on another one. Oh, I probably need to get on another one. Right? Didn't we do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure we took notes. So the solution that I've discovered is that if I release the need for the immediate result, okay, what that does is that it gets me off of a goal-based mentality. Because you know what a goal-based mentality says? Is that, look, I know you can tell, but I love to CrossFit. I mean, barely get, just barely. So I've been, goal-based mentality is like, I'm going to finish this workout. Well, so you're doing a heavy lift or something, all of a sudden, oh, I've got 4 reps left, but I felt something. What's a goal-based mentality say? Keep going, man.
Yeah.
Hammer down.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. Well, if I said, you know what? This is a lifestyle for me. I want to wake up tomorrow and be able to do this. Oh, I probably shouldn't. Right? So then when I focus on a systems-based mentality, what that says is my progress is the thing that I need to focus on the most. That daily progress. Okay? Systems-based mentality says I'm sticking to the process and not missing a day. Right? Oh, does that sound like lead generation?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, just making sure. What I've discovered about goals is that they're about really the short-term results, and systems are about the long-term process. Okay? In the end, right? It's just like wealth. In the end, does the short-term gains win or the long-term gains win?
Walter.
So process wins in the end. Okay?
Don't you think that's why so many people don't stay in this business, because the expectations are pretty high?
What's the dropout rate?
30, 40.
40?
80%.
80%.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
First 2 years.
Because it's not the end result, it's the path along the way. Yeah.
Exactly
it's
it.
the road. Yeah.
100% right. So the last thing, guys, we got 3 minutes, and this is my favorite. How many control freaks in the room? Oh, so, okay, all right, okay.
I am not. I am not.
Okay. All right. You know what? Those of you that didn't raise your hand, you're liars.
I agree.
Okay, liars. So here, hold on. Let me. Can I make some hamburgers out of the sacred cows in the room? The idea that we're in control.
I'm a vegetarian.
Can you marry like the manliest man? You know,
Looks like a big meat eater,
I know
right?
it does. It's like, yeah, but he like shoots stuff.
Balance.
Yeah, balance. That's right. Okay. Goals. Suggest. And it's that word. They just creep in and suggest is that you can control things. You have no control over. Right? Guess what? You can't predict the future.
Yeah.
Shocking, right?
Exactly.
Yeah?
Only the now.
You know, we heard lofty numbers in our real estate goals. Now, guys, hear my heart. I'm not saying don't have goals. What I want you to do is utilize that as a North Star. Like, you focus on what's in front of you, you know, a lamp on your feet, every day, one step at a time. And then, when you need to, look up. Okay. Because when you're looking up, what you're actually doing, the solution to this, is that when you let go of having to control everything and you decide, if I build a system, like a feedback loop, it'll tell you if you're on the right path or not. Building that feedback. Why do we talk about our numbers? Because numbers paint a story, right? Why did we, log our miles during March for wellness? Thank you. It's because we're going to see, are we on pace? Like, am I getting well if that's one of my goals? All right? So forget about predicting the future. Build a system that can signal when you need to make an adjustment. But if you don't know what your goal is, that's hard, right? So start here. And it can be BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. That's okay. I want you to have them. But can I ask the question again? If I never and completely ignored, would I get there?
Yes.
So I made some believers out of the room?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This is the best. It's 9:30. Here we go. Goals are good for planning your progress. Systems are good for making progress. Big difference. Because making is a active verb. Planning is a passive verb. Who needs to sit in another meeting in their life? No. Go out and do something, okay? Having a system is what matters, and committing to the process is what makes the difference. Is that good? Does that create a little bit of freedom?
Yes.
Okay, we're all right?
Yep.
Okay. If you don't have a system, I know a guy who can help you. Can you put your hand up, Mr. Guy?
Hello.
Those of you who have systems because of this guy, put your hand up in this room. Has it been helpful?
Yes.
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 Okay. Today is June the whatever.
6.
We're halfway through the year. Guys. If you hadn't hit your goal, congratulations, it's okay.
Yeah. Congrats, you're normal.
It hasn't happened yet, but it's on its way.
It's on its way. Now, if you haven't implemented a system, okay, now we need to talk, all right? And if that's you, come and talk to us, okay? 9:31. Anybody else have anything?
One thing,
Yeah.
I wanted to say real quickly here, Zillow Group, it is a combination of consumer brands and business brands. The consumer brands are Zillow, Trulia, Street Easy, Hot Pads, Naked Apartments. The business brands include Dotwood, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they
didn't know
acquired
that.
Is owned by
Yeah, they
Zillow.
acquired
They- they acquired them
Last year?
Yeah, like
Oh,
the end of last year.
interesting. Oh, we're in bed with the devil, okay. No, I'm just kidding. All right, anything else? Guys, thanks for making my friends feel welcome. And
Thank
I
you, Lee.
appreciate you. Pretty awesome.
Very favorable. Very.
So you wrote that entire thing just for me, didn't you?
I did, dude. Every day is a plug, man.